I'm pleased to have Marcus Roberts here. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, give you a handshake. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know,
Last time you were here, Wynton was coming by, and you were with him, and so you came by and joined us, and I wanted to have you back, and so it's great to see you. We once did this in Washington, too.
We sure did.
I should say, you didn't get your start with Wynton Marsalis. You got your start back in Florida with your mother.
That's true, in the good old Baptist church.
What influence did that have, that gospel music and playing in the church?
Well, it had a real big impact on me. That was my first introduction to the piano. And, of course, gospel music has a tremendous legacy, which the hallmark of that whole tradition is Mahalia Jackson. And I remember waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, and Mama, she would be playing Mahalia as loud as she could, waking us up, getting us going. And I just sort of expanded from that into jazz music. And
when did you start playing the piano?
Well,
I know you got lessons when you were about 12, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah, I started when I was 8. And I was self-taught. Like, until I was 12, I didn't know what key I was playing in or anything, you know. And I started with I've only had 2 piano teachers in my life, but they were both master teachers.
You've been blind since you were 4.
Yeah, that's right.
And this jazz, one of the teachers introduced you to jazz, and people began to, or he would enable you to hear albums by Miles Davis and Art Tatum and all the greats.
Man. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard Tatum, I was 13, and I was a real arrogant child, you know. I thought I knew everything. And I mean, so I remember one day he said, well, you know, I want you to hear something. And he put on first he put on a classical recording of Vladimir Ashkenazy playing the Chopin etudes. You know, he put that on, and then he put on a record of Tatum. And I said, oh no! I thought it was like, I said, well, what 2 pianists is this? He said, oh no, that's 1. I said, what?
Spoke to you, didn't it?
Oh my God, it was crazy.
Yeah. Then you went on to, did you go to Florida State?
Yeah, I sure did.
4 years there?
Yeah, that's where I had my second teacher who taught me about, you know, the intricacies of the instrument as far as tone production and you know, how to make the instrument ring, which is really the biggest challenge of playing the piano. Then
you got a call from Wynton Marsalis, which brings us to Wynton, and his band, Kenny Kirkland, lost his pianist, and you said, look, he had met you before, I guess, at Florida State, had he?
That's right.
Yeah. So you go out to play with his band, and you show up, and you already know his entire repertoire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that, I don't know, that was the only way I could see doing it. I didn't want to be there. I knew that music was going to be hard enough even if you knew it. So I wanted every advantage that I could get, because this music is real hard to play.
And you were there with Wynton for 5 or 6 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, too. When did you get interested in the albums? And the first, I remember, I mean, the albums, I got a list of the albums here, which are just, 3 of them have been Prayer for Peace, The Truth Is Spoken, Deep in the Shed, Alone with 3 Giants, As Serenity Approaches, which is the first time you began to play, to my knowledge, stride piano, correct, As Serenity Approaches?
Right. Well, no, actually, even on the very first one, The Truth Is Spoken here, it blew me off. That's stride. I mean, I've always been interested in it. It's just that it was an evolving sensibility that it developed. The first recording where it's all solo piano and a lot of stride is Alone with 3 Giants, that record. And then, of course, they just expanded from there until this last one, If I Could Be With You, I think is really the one where I really am expanding fully into more and more of that history.
We're going to hear some of that, but just stay with me in understanding stride piano. Tell me about it, and how do you become good at it?
Well, the biggest challenge with playing stride is, frankly, the left hand, because it is a 2-handed style.
Yeah.
It's a very physical style, very percussive style, and it does require a lot of physical power. Basically, the left hand keeps the groove. That's where the dance element is. And
right.
So it's just like leaping all over the place just so that the groove is there. And then the right hand then is free to play rhythms and motifs or whatever it wants to on top of that. But the people, when they would dance the stride, they would always pay attention to that left hand, because that's where the bottom was. And That's really the main essence of it.
So when you wanted to become really good at stride piano, you really had to get this left hand up to
Ooh,
speed.
Lord, yeah, it's hard, boy. Because see what it is like, you know, you might be playing something real crazy in the right hand. And you know, it's like hard to keep that. You know, you have to keep track of all these different melodies that are going at one time.
In the beginning, you learned it by just playing the left hand only, right? I mean, you would just, and doing it slowly, and then as you get better, you can do it fast and develop that sort of rambunctious, whatever it becomes.
Yeah, that's right.
James P. Johnson.
Oh, my goodness.
Who was he?
Oh, man. James P. Johnson was from New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Right.
And he's a member of what we call the Harlem Stride Piano School, which he taught Fats Waller.
Right.
That was, of course, his
great stride piano.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And he studied with Lucky Roberts, who was like one of the cats around as far as playing ragtime, which stride grew out of ragtime music, and the shout dances, which James P. Johnson's parents, they'd have these dances at the house like all night long.
Yeah.
On many weeknights. They were a family of music lovers, very artistic people, and Johnson was very proficient in playing classical music.
And his music influenced a lot of people like Duke Ellington, a lot of other people.
That's right,
Fats
Duke,
Waller.
Fats Waller, Count Basie. Pretty much anybody who played piano after that was influenced by
All right. This is, I mentioned, if It Could Be You is the newest album. I have the CD in front of me. Marcus is on tour. He's been in New York through the 7th, and he's off. Where's the next? You don't know. Do you know where you'll appear next?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
All right. He'll be in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but he's going to play for us, which I'm really trying to get to. This album begins with In a Southern Sense, and then it ends with In a Southern Sense, a long 9-minute piece in the end. In between In a Southern Sense and Just a Closer Walk with You, would you play that for me, Marcus, and then we'll come back and talk. Doesn't get any better than that. Let me just make this point, too, is that some of these are original compositions. Some of the pieces here, original compositions by you. Am I right?
Yeah, some of them. 6 tunes on this record are originals. It's kind of retrospective recapitulation of a lot of the things that I had been working on the piano up to now. That's why, like, this is Just a Closer Walk with Thee, that particular song, we used to, I used to play in church all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's a Gershwin and a Cole Porter. And
Moonlight in Vermont.
Right. And there's
They Keep Off the Grass is...
Oh, that's Johnson.
That's Johnson.
That's very difficult.
Snowy Morning Blues is Johnson.
That's Johnson, that's right.
I'm going to have you play a little bit for me because the most famous Johnson song, and that may be the hardest to do, is Carolina Shout, isn't it?
Ooh, yeah, that was a signature piece. That was the piano piece to play.
All right. I'm out of time, except that I want you to play for me for 2 minutes. I want you to know what a pleasure it is to have you back. Come back anytime. It's great to see you. Great luck on the tour.
Well, thank you very much.
You are extraordinary. Carolina Shout, James P. Johnson. This is his signature piece, and we're honored to have Marcus Roberts play it and play us out of this show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
One more time, that album by Marcus Roberts is If I Could Be With You, an extraordinary album. It's a pleasure to have you here, my friend. It's great to have you here. Marcus is on tour. He was with Vice President Gore at the inauguration. It's always good to have him here. We thank you for joining us. Later this week, Governor Mario Cuomo on the Politics of America 1993 style. In the meantime, Marcus Roberts will play us off. Marcus.